What is going on, y'all? I am back with a new episode. I took a little bit of a break. My wife has graduated from the Prairie View A&M University. Shout out to her, and she's actually currently over the country as she's leaving the country for a few days for a trip and she earned. So, Mr. Baby, hope that you make it there safe and have a great time. But since she is gone, I'm going to have a few people on to kind of keep me a little bit busy, so I don't miss her too much. And today we have Mr. Zach Acuff. What's going on, man? What's going on, bro?
Nothing much, nothing much. Watching the NBA and keeping up with college football as normal. Keeping up with recruiting and all that. Got to keep myself interested during the off season.
I do understand. I do appreciate you coming on. And just to kind of give you a quick heads up, the NBA we are recording right ahead of the NBA draft lottery, so we might have to stop the show to give a little bit of an update on who got the number one pick. But we're gonna get started with perhaps one of the biggest news that dropped yesterday. So, if you lived under a rock, now we have potentially legalized sports betting. And if you had not heard, the Supreme Court has, in a 7-2 favor, ruled that the 1992 federal law that they ruled against New Jersey back in the day, with I guess 1992. They determined that the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act is now unconstitutional. So now, what does this mean? It means that every state now has the opportunity to decide if they're going to legalize sports betting in their respective states. And as we're checking the current bill tracker provided to us by ESPN, of course, we know Nevada is the only state that has fully legalized sports betting. Other states, such as Mississippi, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Connecticut, has recently passed the bill. Other states as California, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, New York has introduced the bill, but hasn't passed it yet, and every other state has not even bothered to, take on the challenge of legalizing sports betting. So, also before I ask what does it mean for Vegas and everything else, it's important to know a couple of stuff. It's important to note that the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, has been a big advocate for sports betting. He's been pushing for this ever for the longest. Also, it's also important to note that the NFL, even though their statement decided that they are, I guess, trying to protect the integrity of the game, they do have a team that is going to Las Vegas very soon. Also, Vegas does have the Golden Knights of hockey that is there already, and they also have the Las Vegas Aces of the WNBA, who just moved there from San Antonio. Now, kind of, it's a lot to digest at this moment because it's still fairly new. We're still trying to figure out what does exactly mean, but just a kind of initial reaction to you, Zach. What does you think this mean for Vegas as a whole?
Well, what I think it means is that people are probably now that this is more legal for them to bet upon amateur sports or professional sports, state by state. Some of these states, like for example, Oklahoma, has a lot of Indian casinos in them. So I could see them setting that up as betting hotspots where they're able to go and cash in on bets or place a bet, and of course you always got Vegas. And now that it's going to become legal in these states, you no longer have to go to Vegas, make your bet, and then go back to Vegas, claim it if you won, and come home. You can just sit on your couch on an iPhone or on an Android and make the bet right there and then if your state has legalized it. So I think the potential is there. I'm not a betting man. I mean, I'm not going to be getting into it too much. But the potential is there, and if the money is there, I don't see why there should be really any issue with them allowing bets to be placed over sports. Because if you got to think about it this way, it's people's money. They can decide to do with what they want to do with how they will. So if they want to place a bet on their sports teams, by all means, they should have that freedom to do so.
Yeah, and that's my thing about that whole thing is people are already betting anyways. As you said, it's just now legal to do so. It's not as quote unquote cool to do it because now you can just do it whenever, or depending on your state. Because of course, it still doesn't mean that your state individually is legalizing it. And so, and I think like I said, it's a very interesting standpoint. Just for as you said, it's more convenient now. You don't have to worry about going through quote unquote bookies anymore. Not saying that all bookies are going to disappear into thin air, but at the very least, it's gonna be you're gonna be fewer of them. And again, it's really going to be such as interesting which states allows it, which not going to allow it. Now, again, I'm here down here in Texas, and we're right next to Louisiana. That's pretty much a good casino hotspot. When you're talking about Lake Charles and Baton Rouge, and hell, I was in New Orleans a couple months ago, so it's like I said, it's still going to be interesting how things turn out, especially since there are actual proteins. But I'm thinking less of the proteins and more towards like the colleges, right? Because now you're in a situation where, I mean, if you talk about proteins, yeah, these men and women getting paid money to play sports, so they're not worried about quote unquote shaving points. But now you talk about a college student that has nothing, right now. They don't get, they don't get paid, or if they do get paid, it's definitely not as much as they should get paid. Now you're talking about a situation where they may be thinking about it because again, this is amateur sports, or at least it's supposed to be amateur sports. So I think it's more so interesting what's going to happen within the college ranks versus the actual professional sports. But then again, it goes back into what states actually legalize sports betting to begin with. So
Yeah, I see your point there, and I hope and whenever we do have the sports, when everything is said and done, I hope that these college kids aren't thinking of point shaving and keeping the game honest and true to its integrity. Because you're right, these professional athletes, they're being paid millions and millions of dollars or thousands of dollars to play that particular sport. And so they're not going to be necessarily worried about, oh, hey, I got to score 20 points because this guy bet on me scoring 20 points. Whereas you talk to a college kid, and let's say he has 500 people putting down $1,000 on him scoring 20 points in tonight's game and winning. Well, that's going to be like, okay, well, I have to get 20 points, yada, 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 and now, and, people are going to be like, hey, I'll give you this much of my winnings if you do this. And I hope that they don't do that. I hope, when it comes to betting, if you are a bettor or a very known bettor, you're only allowed either potentially limited contact with an athlete that you have bet on the college level, or potentially no contact at all, just so that way the we there won't be any NCAA infractions. Nobody's accepting money under the table. It keeps the game honest and pure to its integrity. It's a football, it's a basketball, it's a softball, baseball. Any sport you name it. It's kept true to its competitiveness, and it's not based and influenced on money like some of the pro sports, maybe.
right. And so just before we move on, there has been various, again, like I said, this is a monumental thing. So you have the MLB making statements about it, the NBA of course made statements about it, the NFL, which is interesting. Always, they made a statement about it. So it's definitely a situation that the sports league has themselves been preparing for. And so, and like, as you said too, the biggest thing is the integrity of the actual game because now everybody, especially within the NBA, as a recent, marked the NBA as rigged. And of course, we did have the one referee that actually threw games, or called made some calls in one team's favor due to, you know, betting situations. So it's going to see what's going to be interesting about that. Just a kind of quick note. So, but we're going to, go ahead and make a quick transition over to the NBA. So currently, we have the conference finals. And both game one has been completed, and of course we are recording ahead of game two versus the Cavs and the Celtics. That game ended up in the blowout. You know, LeBron had 15 points, which probably is not the best idea when you're talking about the Cavaliers today, right? Especially when everybody else is pretty much struggling to make even 10 points. And and it goes to notice, Jalen Brown, Al Horford, Marcus Morris each had 20 plus each. And when you had that going on, of course, you should definitely win, right? And also, we have the Warriors that beat the Rockets 119 to 106. KD did what KD does, 37 points. Klay Thompson got 28 points. Steph Curry got 18 points. It didn't really matter in the scheme of things, which is scary to think about. And of course, Harden with 41. CP3 had a double double with 23 points and 11 rebounds. And one thing I do have to point out is the Warriors had 18 fast break points compared to the Rockets 3 points in fast break. So at this point, now everybody we love to make these series defining statements after one game, after every game, because the narrative always switches over. At this point, do you see a likely Warriors Boston matchup in the finals?
I'm gonna be honest with you, Gregory. I really don't, because I'll explain why. In the history of LeBron, history is on his side. If he loses a game one, he normally comes out, especially if he does as bad as he did. He normally comes out and has a better game two performance, a better game three performance, and so on. And he plays better than that game one, then he'll play better the rest of the series. And it's like this. Right now, LeBron is his own biggest enemy. And
Right.
I I hope that he's able to turn it back on and get his teammates to help him. But I mean, I really don't see a Boston Warriors finals. It could happen, but I really just don't see it happening because of what based off LeBron has been able to do over history. He's always performed better after having a bad game one.
Yeah, that's always been a story about LeBron. When the world decided LeBron James is not going to make the finals, he somehow turns it up and brings up a 40, 50-point performance to even get them a win. And I'll say this. I want to say this real quick about the Rockets yesterday. So, of course, all season long, the Rockets have made no secret that they wanted the Warriors. They built the team to beat the Warriors. They won 65 games, the best record in the NBA. They beat the Warriors twice. Although the first time was the fact that Kevin Durant shot the ball maybe 2 seconds too late, and we go back still wins a win in that situation. But for me, I think the biggest thing about what happens with the Rockets and the Warriors is that the Rockets lost control of handling the Warriors' role players because KD is gonna get his points, Klay Thompson gonna get his points, and at some point Steph Curry is going to score his 20, 30 points. But if you can stop Sean Livingston and Nick Young from hitting a couple of threes or hit a couple of easy layups, then you still have a shot to win the game. That's the main thing. The Rockets were still in the game for most of the game until the last few minutes of the third quarter, fourth quarter, and so that's why. So for me, I'm not gonna push the panic button. Now, do I think that the Rockets can still beat them? I still think they can get in the seven because it's always been my prediction of seven. But of course, this is the Warriors, so there's no guarantee. And of course, with the Cavaliers, it's always been the story of LeBron. The story of LeBron has always been when it comes to elite level coaches, he's going to struggle because it's elite level coaches for a reason, right? Which is also, which is also why he always can have Dwayne Case's number the last 3 years because when it comes to certain coaches, of certain stature, LeBron just know how to overtake that. So Brad Stevens, we have to give him a little bit more credit than we have him because what he's done this season without Kyrie and then of course Hayward this season is amazing because maybe not even a month ago we were talking about them losing to Milwaukee in the first round, and here they are. They're 3 wins away from the NBA Finals. So we gonna definitely. So I do like that. Hopefully the Rockets Cavs finals will be interesting. I can't like it's hard for me to imagine a world where LeBron James don't make the NBA Finals because that's been the story for the last almost decade actually, which is insane in itself. But we definitely gonna see how that works itself out. But That's kind of even moving on. Of course, tonight is the NBA draft lottery. I try to see if I can pull up real quick who have the most chances to get the number one pick. It's definitely, I believe, I still think that Philly's at the top. Has to be at the top because I can't remember. They might have that Brooklyn pick too, or no, the Cats had the Brooklyn. Somebody had the Brooklyn pick, and so if I can, actually no, I think that I think Atlanta might have the best chance. I don't know,
I
but
believe when
the
I,
draft.
I believe when
Oh, go ahead.
I believe when I looked at it a little bit earlier, I
Hmm.
think I seen something where they said the Suns had the best chance at the number one pick. That
Actually, I'm seeing it now. Yeah, the Suns have the 25%. You have Memphis with 19.9%, and you have Dallas with 13.8%. And at the bottom, in purgatory, is the Detroit Pistons, the Clippers, and the Nuggets. Of course, those teams barely missed the playoffs at the end of the season. So now, according to the Washington Post, there are several, I guess, prospects that should be drafted. The top prospects we have, I hope I don't get these names wrong. Luka Doncic from Slovenia, DeAndre Ayton from Arizona, Jaren Jackson Jr. from Michigan State, Marvin Bagley from Duke, Mohab Bamba from Texas, Trey Young of Oklahoma, Michael Porter Jr. of Missouri. So, if you had the first pick, who are you looking for in this draft?
if I had the first pick in this draft, I'm gonna have to go with one of two players. I would have to either go with Doncic from overseas or potentially Aiton from Arizona. And the reason why is because I think Doncic he's already been playing in professional leagues, so he already has the feel of professional ball. So out of anybody in this draft, I think he's going to be the most experienced and most ready day one. But Aiton to me, I mean, that's Doncic. I think he's the most ready. Like I said, he'll be ready day one. But Doncic, not Doncic, Aiton to me has the best body of work out of everybody that's coming out of college. Now I'm a diehard Oklahoma fan, so I would love to say Trey Young, but at the end of the season, Trey Young just didn't look like he was even ready to even make the step to the NBA draft, but he did. But to me, I would have to say Aiton because I think Aiton has the best body of work out of everybody that's a big man in this draft. And the drafting philosophy has always been take the best available big man, even though
Right.
that screwed some teams. But I think he had the best body of work, and if you were to start him as a rookie, I think he would flourish under the right system.
Okay. Yeah, and yeah, like that. I think the Trey Young thing was into because he was a freshman, I believe, coming out of he was a one and done player
Yes.
coming out of college. So yeah, and like I said, it's going to be interesting because again, if you have Phoenix with the best chance of getting the number one pick, and honestly, they don't look like they need guard help. But then again, they did trade Eric Bledsoe to the Bucks, but I'm not. It's really. I think, like you said, you have the DeAndre Ayton, which actually would be a nice, not a, be a nice pick. 'Cause you still have Devin Booker there, and you need some kind of core, at least for Phoenix' sake, to start building around us because they are still years away from even competing for anything. And then, of course, you have the Grizzlies, who, let's be honest, they're going to do something about Mike Conley because he's been. I don't think he had a full season since he got that big contract at all. They just been riddled with injuries. Like every time they've signed to get dudes for a max contract, he gets hurt. Whether it's Mike Conley, whether it's Chandler Parsons, it's been, hell. You can throw Marcus Gasol in there. I don't know, So and of course Dallas Mavericks is they still holding on to Dirk Nowitzki. They giving him the I guess they give him the Kobe Bryant ish farewell tour and kind of keep him along on the sidelines. Well, not sidelines, but on the team. Even though they should be trying to move on and build their own team, they do have guard help with Dennis Smith Jr., so I don't think they need anything in that department. But we're gonna, you know, we're gonna see. And like I said, as we are recording this, the NBA draft lottery is going on. We're still about maybe 40 minutes away from them dropping the ping pong balls and seeing who gets the first pick. So towards the end of the show, we definitely kind of break in and let you know who won the first pick. But let's go into a topic that I know that you probably don't want to talk about, but you are an Oklahoma person, which means you are Oklahoma City Thunder fan.
Yes.
And the what's really going and this isn't anything new, unfortunately, but it's been going on for I guess we can go back as far as 2012, maybe. I'm not, but there is a stigma around Westbrook and who he is as a teammate. Now, of course, there is a list of players who have seem to have gotten better since leaving Westbrook. Now, whether that be because of where they went to or the coaches they had after dealing with Billy Donovan, maybe that's a coincidence in itself. But we do have Enes Kanter that went to the Knicks. You have, of course, we had KD that left for Golden State. You got Reggie Jackson that got traded to Detroit. Mentioned again James Harden, who became pretty much this year's MVP after getting traded from Oklahoma City. So and then even like this season, there are plenty of blame going towards Westbrook's way in regards to who fault is it that the Thunder has not succeeded this season. And so I asked you this: do you believe that the criticism surrounding Westbrook, as far as him being a teammate goes, is inbounds or out of bounds?
I think it's going to be out of bounds because I'll explain why. The
Okay.
the reason why I think it's out of bounds is you have to look at it this way. A lot of people try to use Kevin Durant, James Harden, Victor Oladipo, Enes Kanter, and all these guys as reasons to why people don't need to play with Russell Westbrook because he's a bad teammate, he doesn't share the ball. The beginning of this season, Russell Westbrook took it upon himself and saw that criticism and said, okay, I'm going to make you guys the focal point of the offense. And Paul George and Carmelo Anthony couldn't get anything done. And so he had to go back to normal Russell Westbrook mode, getting triple doubles, and we started winning because it's like, okay, I'm the alpha dog, I'll take over. And then we started winning, and of course we started losing a little bit too. But and touching back on all these other players, listen, and this is the thing that's unfair about Russell Westbrook. Kevin Durant went to a very good situation. He went to a team that's basically mirroring the Greg Popovich system: pass until you get the open shot, pass until you get until the open man. And they're always moving. The problem with Kevin Durant, when he was here in Oklahoma City, there was two main plays: ISO Westbrook, ISO Durant. Everybody else just got out of the way or tried to help rebound the ball. And that's why I'm like, it's not really fair to say, yeah, Kevin Durant had maybe improved a little bit in some statistical categories, but outside of defense, the only thing that's really gotten better with him is his shot selection. He's making better shots now because he's on a team that's passing more, and that's okay. I get that. When you're with a guy like Russell Westbrook, who is very ball dominant to the likes of Kobe, yeah, it's going to be hard to kind of shoot efficiently in Oklahoma City. But then they talk about James Harden. James Harden was a sixth man of the year with Russell Westbrook. He was coming off the bench as the primary ball handler in Oklahoma City off that bench unit. And everybody's like, oh well, he got better when he got to Houston. Yeah, he got better when he got to Houston because he was required to step up and say, okay, I got to take this superstar role instead of being the support star he was in Oklahoma City. And that's why I'm like, James Harden went and got better because he became a superstar. The ball started going through him. The offense started going through him. When the offense starts going through you, your stats and everything about you is going to become better because you have to make that next step. It's not Russell Westbrook holding Harden back. It's Harden taking that next step and saying, okay, I'm a superstar. I got to start scoring more points, getting more assists, getting more rebounds, and shooting more efficiently because this is how this team's going to get wins. And and then when you look at like guys like Victor Oladipo is the same exact scenario as James Harden. He went to an Indiana team that had no primary ball handler, no primary offense, to run through, it was Miles Turner or bust. When Victor Oladipo got there, it was like, okay, well now we got a guy who can shoot outside, he can drive the ball, he can handle it, and that complimented him. That complimented Miles Turner, and he got better because he had to step into that star role. He had to step into the person that the offense runs through. So, and then Enes Kanter just went to a really good situation because he became the starting center of the New York Knicks. Well, the New York Knicks probably have arguably the best 3-year power forward in the NBA in Kristaps Porzingis. How are you not going to get better? I mean, if you got a guy who everybody's like, okay, well, we got to watch this guy down low. All he has to do is dump it off to Enes, and Enes is like, oh, give me those shots. Give me those shots. I'll make them. You know, and that's why I'm like, you have to take a step back when you're judging Russell Westbrook and look at the thing that the reason why all these players are getting better is because they played with Russ when it comes to like Victor Oladipo because he learned how to be more competitive because of Russ. B, they went to better situations and better coaching. I don't think it's Russ. I think a lot of it falls on coaching. And that's what I blame a lot of this year on is coaching. There was no real set plays. You know, we have 3 great options to play around. And then we have a good option, sometimes an average option, depending on the night he chooses to be. We have we had Westbrook, we had PG-13, and we had Adams. Yes, I'm saying Adams is a great option because I would love to see that boy get more touches and more offensive movement around him because he goes down there in low post and he's beating up on folks and scoring points easily. And then you got Westbrook. Westbrook speaks for himself. He's out there. He's the man. He's going to make his shots. He's going to get those rebounds. He's going to pass the ball and try to set up the open person. Some of the problem I had this year was with Paul George. And I love Paul George as a player. I think he's great. If he goes anywhere he goes to, I'm still going to be a fan of his. I've been a fan of his since he was in Indiana. I think he's a great supporting star. And that's what everybody doesn't realize. They're trying to say that he's a superstar. I don't think he's a superstar at all. I think he's a great supporting star, and he's going to be a great number 2 option because he is able to go out there defend like he's Kawhi Leonard, even though, and then he's able to go out there and shoot buckets. I mean, he can get buckets immediately, and he can get them fast. We all saw game 1 against the Utah Jazz. He had what, 40-something points, 30-something points?
Right, right.
It's like, he can do the things that he's supposed to do. But then we saw the last game against the Jazz. He only attempted he barely attempted less than what, 12 shots? He only made 2. And then
that was like a stretch. We only had like 6 shots between the second and third quarter or something like that. It was very, very atrocious especially for his standard. I would say this too because I will say I did watch that closeout game and yeah, I was it was one thing when I first I saw the box score before I actually watched the actual game. It's like okay, you look at the box score like damn, you had 43 shots for Westbrook, but on the end it's like if dudes are not producing, what the hell do you want him to do? So I do understand that it's kind of like between a damn that you do, damn that you don't situation for Westbrook because he does play the game at a high motor, which also is his greatest weakness. And I think too, as you say, it's coaching because Billy Donovan don't have the balls to tell him, hey man, chill out, man, we good, and put him in a situation to where he can channel that motor into something productive. But as you mentioned, it does come to coaching, and I'm gonna ask you this real quick. Actually, I think there's a couple more questions about this, but for one, do you think that Billy Donovan needs to get fired like now?
I don't think he needs to get fired this automatically right now, but I do think that our management need to tell him, hey, look, we expect better coaching next year, even if we don't have Paul George, and we are stuck with Uh, old Carmelo. I like to call him Old Carmelo because he's not Prime Melo no more. Um,
Right.
if we're stuck with him, and of course we're gonna have Westbrook, I want to see at least some better coaching. I want to see some movement. I want to see some fluidity. I want to see an actual offense instead of okay, Russ, you take it, you do whatever, and then so everybody else just get open. I want to see some actual offense. But if he should be put on the hot seat, absolutely, his seat should be the hottest in the NBA. You, he has two stars, a superstar and a star,
Mm.
and then an old Mellow. He should be able to go out there and at least get 50 to 55 wins easily. And what did we do? Like 40 something this year?
You only got one more win than you had the year before without PG and Melo.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I'm disappointed in that. I I expect we have we have three good players. We should be out there, competing at the third seed instead of, sitting at the fifth seed and then okay, out of luck we got the fourth seed. We should be out competing for the third seed, the second seed. You know, Obviously Houston was very far ahead of the pack by the time the NBA season started rolling. But at least we could have started competing for the two seed. And I'm like, why are we not doing that great? We have Paul George and we have Russell Westbrook. We should be at least getting 50 wins, not one more win than Russell's domination season where he's just like, okay, screw all of y'all. I'm going to go get this MVP despite Kevin Durant.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and that was. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that was kind of like the disappointing factor because the expectation was clear. Like, okay, OKC, Golden State, Western Conference Finals already. That was the disappointing thing. Even as a fan of the Rockets who hated the fact that they got Melo and PG, and it's like, damn, Sam Presti lives again. Like it, and he seemed to have 9 lives these days. But like I said, so speaking of PG-13 and Mellow, I guess you kind of answered this question, but if you had to say which one would stay, most likely, who you think will stay? Stay?
who I would love to stay? Paul George. I would love to get rid of Carmelo because Carmelo did
Mm,
not produce in the playoffs like I thought he
mm,
would have. For a player who hasn't really had a lot of time in the playoffs, you would figure, okay, at least he can go out there and get 15 points. But he didn't produce at all. Like, we benched him and we got better, both sides of the floor. So if you ask me, I'm 100% firmly, I would love for Paul George to stay. And for us to get rid of Carmelo and say, hey, Melo, we're gonna cut you. Even if we have to take that dead cap this season, I'm okay with that. As long as we can keep Paul George and build off that'd be great.
yeah, and it is important to note that Paul George do have a player option. If he opts in, that is 20 million for him, and if Carmelo Anthony opts in, he does have the early termination option. It is $28 million, and yeah, that's kind of. I mean, I can see Paul George leaving the money behind because he's not even 30 yet, which is insane to think about. He's not even 30, but Melo, on the other hand, $28 million is hard to pass up on. Like, I don't care what state you live in, I don't care how much tax you have to pay on that 28 million. It's hard to pass up on $28 million, especially when especially after the season you just had, you're not getting that big money no more. Like, that is it. So that is. I don't know, man. That's like I said, it's and I guess it kind of bleeds into the next question I'm gonna ask you. Like, where do you think they improve from here? Because again, we mentioned Westbrook's not going nowhere. He's set to get 35 mil. Coming Anthony, if Melo stays at 28, Paul George stays at 20. Steven Adams, who is underrated in my opinion, he getting 24, and everybody else getting $10 million and under. Or of course, we had recent news that Nick Collison has retired, so that's a roster spot open. So, where do you think they improve from here? Or how would you like to see them improve?
Well, I would like to see them improve their bench unit. I think that the bench this year they did pretty good for what it was worth. I think Raymond Felton. I would definitely love to see him stay. I know that that's an odd name to throw out there, but he is run that backup point guard spot really good behind Russ, and I'm like, okay, I can get used to this because the problem with we had for a long while is we never really had a backup point guard that could come in, give us his break, and still continue the flow of the offense. Well, Raymond Felton can come in, pass the ball around, make a couple of shots, play some defense, and that's all we need him to do. Come in, play your 15 minutes, make some shots, pass the ball around, get some assists, get the occasional rebound, and play some defense. But I would love to see us also keep Corey Brewer. I know we still have Andre Roberson, and Andre's a great guy. He's a great player.
Very underrated as well. He's very underrated. Yeah, I missed him too much.
Yeah,
I didn't think I missed him as much, but I forgot. I keep forgetting he is there for defense, not necessarily for offense. So
yeah, and if we kept Paul George, him, Andre at the shooting guard spot, and Paul George at the small forward spot is a deadly duo on defense. So
right,
if we kept if we can keep Paul George and then Andre comes back and he's fully healthy, that's great. We could plug him into our starting lineup, and I would hope we keep Corey Brewer because he would be a great piece to come off the bench. Score 10, 15 points a night. Because for a while there he was on fire for us. He was. I was thinking, okay, this guy is going to come in and change the entire culture, and we're gonna start winning. But unfortunately, things didn't happen the way I wanted them to. But I would still
right.
love for him to stay on the bench. And then, of course, we have Terrence Ferguson and Jeremiah Grant. I would love for them to stay. I just think we need an extra piece, here and there. Maybe another veteran presence to, help guide the young, because our bench is pretty young. Help the guide the young guys on the bench, and help be a second coach on the bench, tell the players, okay, this is what you got to do while the starters are out there, and then when they're ready to go, it's like, okay, let's go, let's do our jobs.
Okay, well, yeah. So, yeah, so it has been unfortunately a disappointing end to the season. You know what? Actually, I want to get your perspective on this. Because there's some, I spoke about this beforehand, and I just want to get your reaction to that situation that Russell Westbrook had with that fan after that closeout game. Like the whole, fan putting his phone to Westbrook's face situation. Like, well, how do you feel about that when you first saw that?
Well, see, it's like this. As a man, you're a man as well. I'm not going to come up to you and be all up in your face. Because if
Right,
I'm all up in your face, what am I going to expect? I'm going to expect, you to tell me, hey, get out of my face, or you to tell me, you know, something along that nature. Well, a fan and a player interaction should be the same thing. Even after a loss like that, you should at least respect the player enough to say, okay, I'm going to give him his space. I heckled him during the game, but I'm going to give him his space. Let him get to the locker room, get dressed, and get ready for the media. And obviously Russell Westbrook just suffered a season-ending loss. He wasn't exactly in the greatest state of mind, but that fan was not in the right either. I mean, I'm sorry, but there's boundaries you cannot cross with anybody, human to human. And Russell felt like he was crossing those boundaries. So to me, I see no problem with it. That's why I'm glad the NBA didn't do anything because I think they fined him or something. But I'm glad the NBA didn't do anything because they understand. Okay, look, there are boundaries that fans can't even cross themselves, and they got to understand that. It's cool to get a picture of a player. It's cool to take a video of a player and say, "Hey, shout out to whoever." But if you're gonna try to heckle them right after a season-ending loss, what's the point? They
right.
lost. That game's over. Just give them a good game and let them go on their way.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a quick correction. He was fined, but he wasn't fined because of the whole fan situation. He got fined because of that Game 4 incident with Rudy Gobert when he left the bench, or didn't leave the bench, or whatever the hell happened in that situation. So, but yeah, but I think that was my whole thing about it. It was like, okay, cool, man. I understand you taking video, taking pictures, cool, talking shit. Hey man, that's sports. But what happens when you put a phone in someone's face and they actually do something about it, as in like walk to the stands and punch the shit out of you? Because that is the thing about the NBA. It's like there is basically no barriers that's saving the players from the fans and vice versa. Because players can walk up the stands if they want to. We see in Detroit, players can walk into the stands if they feel like it's necessary. Hell, Vernon Maxwell of the Rockets back in the 90s, I think in the 94, 95. I mean, he got suspended for it, but he actually punched a fan. He walked up like 10 feet, 10 rows, and punched the fan in his face, one piece special. And I mean, of course, he got suspended for it, but I'm pretty sure at that point he didn't have any issues. And I get to the point of because of what happened in Detroit, the professionalism and the image that the NBA is trying to perceive, which is cool. I'm not tripping about that. I'm a business graduate, so I understand that completely. But nah, man, I think some things as a man, you cannot just allow somebody to even think they have the power to do something to you, and you do nothing about it because which we can really talk about in another episode all day about the behavior of fans toward certain athletes, whether between I'm dare say black and white athletes, the difference between the way they are treated.
Hmm.
Again, it does not know I'm a race. You're a race. It's none of that, man. It's just observing the differences in the situation. But again, that's another situation for another day. But we're gonna move on forward to some more NBA talk. We have the also fun LeBron James versus Michael Jordan, greatest of all time conversation. Now, I guess you asked me to kind of give you the platform to speak who you think is your goat, and I'm gonna just go ahead and take the floor on that one, man.
So if I were to say who is my greatest of all time player, I would have to say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because,
Oh, okay. This is new. What's up? Okay, let's do this. Let's go ahead.
well, no, I don't think that there's been a guy who has dominated the NBA statistically more than Kareem. I mean, you could say Wilt Chamberlain, he had his points and he had his 50 rebound seasons, but Kareem, I mean, he had the top points of all time. He like there's a lot of statistical categories he leads or he is in the top running of because and I don't look see the thing for me to determine the greatest of all time. I don't look at rings as the final argument. I look at stats. I look at what they did as a player. What did they? What was their impact on their teams? And I just feel like Kareem, even at the age when he was in the Lakers, he was getting up there in age, but he was still, being a dominant factor and being a factor of why Magic Johnson won some of his rings. But because him and Kareem had that connection, and it's like that's why to me I think Kareem is the greatest of all time. I think eventually LeBron will statistically take over those uh, those standards, but that's also due to the longevity of LeBron's career as well as Kareem's. But LeBron also is in a better athletic generation than was back then. And
Right.
I know I'm a little bit young, so it's strange for me to say Kareem, but I'm just not caught up in the whole Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time because of the 6 rings thing. Okay, if you want to say somebody's the greatest of all time because of rings, then why is nobody talking about Bill Russell? Dude has 11 rings or what, 13 tries?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you want to use the ring argument. Okay, what is it, James Worthy? Doesn't he have 6 rings?
Robert already has 7 rings.
Yeah, why are they not the greatest of all time? See, that's the thing to me is the rings are a great supporting argument, but they're not the final absolute argument for me. I have to look and see what the player did, how their impact was, what did they do, you know, and I'm like, what did they do statistically? How did they end up on their career? And then yeah, okay, you might take a like last look at the rings, but that's not the defining argument for me.
All right. You know what? You know, it's like I said, it's been pretty interesting. About hearing all the narratives about LeBron and MJ and why. Okay, so here's goes my thing about all of this. So for one, obviously, it's hard to compare the different eras of games because, of course, it's different rules from the '90s and 2010s. That's one thing to start off with. But also too is also you talking about when you talk about the greatest of all time, you also want to factor in there's the media part of it, right? There's the narrative part of it. So of course, Michael Jordan came onto the scene and he has been trendy mostly because of the shoe deal he was able to market from playing the game. And in LeBron James' case is his whole NBA existence is social media. So it is. Like I said, I try not to get into. Like I said, I didn't see Michael Jordan play. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I did not see him play. I really did not care about the NBA until 2002 when Yao Ming came to the Rockets. So so the only thing only lasting memories of MJ that I do have is him in the Wizard uniform, which we all agree is pretty atrocious,
Yeah,
right, to a Hall of Fame career. So that's just my whole thing about it. Like, of course, you talk about the 6 rings and the LeBron James having 3 rings out of 8 tries, and let's be honest, man. If we're to me, the only I don't know, like I said, that's why I don't get into the rabbit hole of trying to compare Michael Jordan to LeBron James because everybody has revisionist history, right? So we look at LeBron James crying at complaining about the call about the referees and him taking off slacking on defense and him having crappy games like the game one. But we turn a blind eye to what MJ had the exact same situation going on. Maybe not the exact same situation, but he had bad games. He had moments when he cursed our referee due to a unpopular foul call. So it's not as if you know MJ was just 100% perfect, right? And then of course you're talking about when people start nitpicking both guys. You talk about LeBron James and his social. You know what? Here's when the argument of LeBron James versus Michael Jordan got stupid to me. And I'm a LeBron guy. When you start to compare the fact that LeBron James never lost a first round series to Michael Jordan, who struggled, that is honestly where I kind of like just lose interest in anything regarding the two because this LeBron James, of course, the expectation is to win the first round, right? And I understand different players have different standards due to how good they actually are. I get that, but again, it really goes back into I guess really at the end of the day it's all subjective anyways. So it's like what the hell are we arguing for, right? I guess it's just the sake of arguing. And I do want to note one thing. Normally it's the guys that are pulling for MJ that does most of the nitpicking themselves, right?
hmm,
Or the dude the name calling and everything. Again observation. It's not a definitive statement and a declarative statement, but yeah, when it comes to I don't get into the MJ versus LeBron go because of the many varying factors that don't exist between the two. Unfortunately, had MJ played this era or LeBron James played in the '90s, we can start having a conversation there. But honestly, if you're gonna be honest, if I'm going to be honest with you, comparing LeBron James and Michael Jordan is a failed argument to begin with because them two were never supposed to be compared to each other, right? If you want to do LeBron James versus Magic Johnson, I can listen to you. Let's talk. If you want to do MJ versus Kobe, all right, I can listen to you. Let's talk. Even though Kobe Bryant is the great value version of MJ, in my opinion, do not shoot me. It is what it is, right?
yeah,
It is what it is. It's not even to downplay Kobe Bryant, because Kobe Bryant is great in his own right. But let's be real, a lot of his shit is copying Michael Jordan or try to. So, like I said, man, I don't get into the whole thing, but whatever, right? So we're gonna keep moving forward. We're gonna switch over real quick before we get to the NFL portion of it. A little bit of baseball news. We have the Mariners, Robinson Cano, who's going to suspended 80 games for a banned substance, and I think that means that he also won't be able to make the play in the playoffs if the Mariners do break the longest playoff drought in American sports. And actually, all reports say he will not fight the suspension and he's going to accept it. And I guess the story is he did not know that it was banned, which, I mean, come on, whatever. But that is that as far as the MLB news goes. I think in hockey, the Golden Knights and the Winnipeg Jets are 1-1 in the Western Conference Finals. That's all I know for as hockey goes. So, and of course, the NBA draft lottery has not started yet, and I will probably have to cut you off, Zach, if we do get to the starting the picks. So, just give you a heads up on that.
Alrighty.
So, we're gonna go to the NFL, and of course, the team of Oklahoma. We have Baker Mayfield, who went number 1 to the Browns. Now, a lot of people was questioning whether or not he should have been drafted number 1 to begin with. And my thing is, if you are the Browns and you decided that Baker Mayfield is your guy, you do not risk anybody else taking him. Now, I do understand that they had the number 4 pick as well, but who would say that the Jets would not take Baker Mayfield themselves? Now, of course, it could have been a situation where it's all smoke and mirrors, and that you could have had Saquon Barkley in Mayfield, but at least they knew that Mayfield was their guy, and they say, screw it, we're gonna take him number 1. So, I ask you this: do you believe that he can translate to the NFL? Period. I should say that.
Yes, I do believe he can translate to the NFL, and I'm not just saying that as an Oklahoma fan. I'm saying that as a football fan overall, because yeah, I know that there's this stigma, and there's and history has proven it against air raid spread quarterbacks not being successful in the NFL. Well, that's the thing. You know, a lot of these guys that come from air raid or spread systems don't have the type of competitive fire or the type of cojones that Baker Mayfield has. You know, he's going to perfect his craft, even if that means he has to get under the center, practice taking snaps from under center 100 times a day. You can bet your ass, Baker Mayfield, he is going to do it 200 times just to spite you. But you know, he's a competitive guy. Like I would say, honestly, even though he's a rookie, his competitive nature is on par to guys like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. You know, he's competitive. He wants to win. He wants to do anything in his power that's going to lead a team to wins. And that's why I think the Browns took him. Because they're like, okay, this is a competitive guy. This is a guy who's going to come in, change the culture, and be like, we're going to start winning now. There's no excuses for us losing. And that's what they
Well,
need after so long of mediocrity. So I do think he could translate very well in the NFL. Does he need practice at it? Absolutely. Because he was a shotgun quarterback at Oklahoma. But I believe if he get the proper practice, I believe he would have a long and successful career with the Browns.
all right, you ended perfectly well because now the NBA draft lottery is taking place. And so far, the Nuggets have the 14th pick in the draft. The Clippers have the 12th and 13th pick in the draft. The Hornets has been just awarded the 11th pick. Now that we're waiting for number 10. I don't know who's going to be number 10. Here we go. They are opening up the envelope right now. And the 76ers have the number 10 pick. So, I don't know if that's shocking or not. I can't remember this. So we still have Phoenix, we still have Memphis, we still have Dallas, the top 3 odds to get the number 1 pick. So, uh, before we take on to the next few picks, I would say this about Baker Mayfield. He's been a good starter. Like again, we have the off the field situations, which unfortunately gave him the comparison to Johnny Football. I'm gonna ask you about that in a little bit, but the one thing about Baker Mayfield too that many people don't really talk about, they should talk about, is the fact that he was a walk on twice. He was a walk on at Texas Tech. It didn't really work out for him at Texas Tech, so he ended up being a walk on at Oklahoma. And of course, history writes itself afterwards. So if anything, he is his determination, his grind, the fact that he wasn't just given that number one pick means that he should be able to translate well into the NFL. So let me ask you this real quick: should he be compared to Johnny Football?
The only thing I can see him being compared to Johnny Football is probably. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna be like, I don't see him. I don't see it at all. And the only reason why I think people are overreacting to the off the field issues, listen, he's a college kid. He was in Fayetteville, Arkansas. That's a college town. He went and got drunk, and yeah, he ran from the cops. He made a mistake, but he made a mistake that is recoverable from. It people when they judge Baker Mayfield, they acted like he murdered somebody, like it was a career ender. Yeah, he made a mistake, but look at all the quarterbacks in the NFL. You can count on one hand, have multiple quarterbacks that have made mistakes and have were judged for it, but they still went to the NFL and was considered to be, okay, franchise quarterbacks. So why is Mayfield any different? And see, this is the thing. Johnny Manziel, when he was with the Browns, was an alcoholic and he was a drug user. Where have you ever heard that Baker Mayfield has used drugs or had extreme alcoholism? You know,
Yeah.
you can't really compare him. And they try to compare his play. Johnny Manziel, he was great. He was an awesome player. But the problem is, Johnny Manziel loved to use his feet. He was fast. He was quick. But he wasn't the passer Baker Mayfield is. Baker will get you the passing skills that you need to get the ball downfield. But to me, there's really no comparison. I just think everybody was overreacting to the off the field incident, and then I think the whole Kansas incident, which should speak for itself. When you're getting disrespected by another team, when you are the guy in college football, and all he wants to do is shake your hands. Yeah, I mean he's going to try to come at you and you know with vengeance.
Yeah, and it does. We do have the off the field stuff. We do have the cross grabbing incident, and yeah, I mean, like I said, it's the main thing of perception, because especially when you talk about the quarterback position, they want the quarterback position to be pretty much like you know the whole presidential in a way. So they want them to act a different way other than the status quo. So, but we're gonna get back to the NBA draft lottery real quick. The Knicks have been given the number ninth pick of the draft. The number eight pick is going to the Cavaliers. So that's gonna be another. And now I think we can enter into the NBA. I think the lottery is like maybe the top eight, seven picks, something like that. So now we're going to go into the seventh pick, and the seventh pick right now is the Chicago Bulls. So now the Kings are granted a top three pick automatically. Doesn't matter. They cannot drop out of the top three. Number six pick is going to the Orlando Magic, which is I don't know who that's good news for. Now we're going to get to the five and four pick, which is going to be make some noise. Let's see. The Dallas Mavericks. Oh snap! Number five pick. So they bring the Atlanta Hawks into the top three. And let's see who is number four pick. Number four pick going to the Memphis Grizzlies.
Oh man, that's
So
definitely.
now that's a game changer. Now you have the Suns, the Hawks, and the Kings who are going to have top three picks in this year's NBA drafts. Wow. Oh, that was and Dallas was projected to get the number three pick. Whew. Well, what they tell you about tanking. Man, that is wildly insane. So we will be back with the three top. Well, we won't be back. They'll be back. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep our conversation going while they figure life out. So we're gonna go into your New York Giants. Or actually no. I'm sorry. I gotta ask you this question before we get to your Giants. What do you think is next for your Sooners?
Well, what's next for my Sooners is obviously national championships, but that won't be immediately. Next year, I think we have a good chance of going maybe 11-1 and 10-2, and I don't think we'll make the playoffs. If we do make the playoffs, I think we'll end up losing to our first matchup because right now there's a whole lot of speculation right now on our quarterback position. We're not even sure, because Kyler Murray right now he's ranked, I believe, the 36th prospect in the MLB draft. So there's talk of him potentially thinking about leaving to go to the MLB, or potentially either staying and playing quarterback at Oklahoma. And so right now going forward, we're not too sure of what we're going to do yet. But I do, to me, honestly, going forward, if I were to make a prediction for next season, I would say at least 10-2, because I think we'll lose maybe one or two Big 12 games, but we'll still make the Big 12 championship. But to me, a successful season is, even if we don't make the playoffs, to me, a successful season is we go 10-2, we beat Texas, we beat Oklahoma State. Those are our two main rivals, and we win the Big 12, and we make a New Year's Six bowl, you know, like the Sugar Bowl, or if it's not in the playoff rotation, and we continue to go from there, and we win the bowl game. That to me is a successful season, especially if we do not keep Kyler Murray and he does decide to go for baseball. Now, from the future on, I am pretty excited for our Sooners because we right now, I believe, have a top three recruiting class in the 2019 class, and we have landed a 5-star wide receiver in Theo Weiss and two 4-star wide receivers in Trajan Bridges and R.J. Henderson. And we're also in the running for Jadon Hazelwood, who happens to be the number one wide receiver prospect in the country in the 2019 class because he has Sooner blood in him. There's a connection between him and the OU. His dad went to OU, and a lot of his family on his dad's sides are all Sooner fans. But he is currently committed to UGA. We're trying to flip him, and I hope we do. And then we have a 4-star quarterback. He's arguably the best quarterback in the class, and Spencer Rattler from Arizona. And I believe he will be the next elite quarterback for us in the 2019 forward. And I believe, once that all those guys plus Austin Stogner, a tight end from Texas, I believe he's top 5 tight end in the 2019 class. Once all these guys plus all the other guys they're trying to help recruit come on campus, I think from there on we can look at the potential of, okay, we will have a chance of winning national titles because of the talent. But the other issue with the Sooners is while we are getting this talented class, we're getting this talent for both sides of the ball. Most of us saw the Rose Bowl, and
Right.
the Rose Bowl was not a pretty game. It was a beautiful game the first half. I loved it. I was I was cheering for joy. Well, in the second half, I was just angry, upset, and I was just everything just went wrong, and I blame coaching. And this is the problem that I have coming from last year going into next year. I think that Lincoln Riley needs to stop being so conservative in late game moments. Because in the Georgia game, he took his foot off the pedal, took the ball out of his best playmaker's hand, which would be Baker Mayfield, and he relied on his defense to say, okay, hey, y'all make the stops, we'll run the clock out. Well, I'm sorry, but you have Mike Stoops coaching our defense, and our defense was not that great last year. And
Right.
it's like you really expect to stop a trio of Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, and Holyfield? No, you're not going to. They ran all over us. And that's why I'm like, I hope our defense comes out better because our offense is already there. We've returned most of our offense. Our offensive line, we've had a lot of depth there. But the defense is the one position I want to see going forward, and I want to see better coaching for the defense. But like I said, also with Lincoln Riley, I don't want him to start being conservative in late game moments. Now, if we're blowing a team out by 40 points, then yeah, by all means, go ahead and just take your foot off the pedal. But if you're in a playoff game against Georgia, against one of the SEC's best teams, I'm sorry, don't take your foot off the pedal. Keep put your foot on their throat and end the game by keeping scoring touchdowns. I'm sorry, but I don't care if we're blowing them out by 30. Keep it up.
Right.
And that's why I'm like, I hope to see that going forward. But that's what I think is next. I think this next year is going to be kind of a reload year. But from 2019 on, I'm really excited for what the Sooners are going to have to offer.
Okay, and so while you were speaking, the top three picks has been announced. The Phoenix Suns. Actually, no, I take that. I'm sorry. The Atlanta Hawks will get the number three pick. The Sacramento Kings will get the number two pick, and the Phoenix Suns have the number one pick in the NBA draft. And barring any trade, the Phoenix Suns will this will be their first number one pick in franchise history. So last 4 years, the team with the best chance to win the number one pick has won the number one pick. So just to kind of give you a quick recap, so that's gonna be an interesting draft.
Yeah, really it
It's gonna
is.
be it's gonna be an interesting draft. I guess I should have noted that the Clippers do have the two picks in the draft lottery because of the Blake Griffin trade. So that is something that we had to I didn't know earlier, but okay. So that is the order. We do have the order for the NBA draft. So if you have not caught even if you're not caught the order, then I mean I can't write it off right now, but I probably say at the end of the show, so you can kind of get a reminder. But we'll keep moving forward. We'll keep a little bit moving forward. We're gonna move
Hey,
to
Gregory,
yo.
you want to make a real quick top three prediction on who you think each three of those teams are going to individually draft?
Ooh, I like a challenge. This is on record too, so I can back away from this. Okay. All right. You know what? I'll try it. Let's go. Let's go.
For me, I'm going to say Phoenix is going to take Aiton or Doncic. Well, okay, I'm gonna put it down to one player. I think they're gonna take. I think they're gonna take Aiton because that'll be a great center for them to pair up with Devin Booker. So that way, if Devin Booker drives, he has Aiton that's right there. And then I think the Sacramento Kings are gonna take Marvin Bagley, and then I think the Atlanta Hawks are gonna take Doncic.
Okay. And just for argument's sake, I am going to. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna scramble up a little bit. I'm gonna go with Doncic to the Suns. I'm gonna go Aiden to the Kings, and I'm gonna go real left field. I'm gonna pick your boy Trey Young to the Hawks.
Interesting,
I'm gonna
interesting.
go. I'm gonna go real left field. Just to so. Also, I want to mention one thing that has not been talked about. You probably didn't even realize. So what's interesting is about the NBA draft lottery is not the draft lottery itself, but who's gonna be the representatives of the draft lottery. And the Atlanta Hawks representative was Jamie Gertz. I don't know if you know who she is by name, but let's see. If she was just because she was in the movie Twister, she's most known for the Lost Boys movie.
Hmm.
Personally, I saw her in Still Standing, the TV show, and I didn't realize that was her. So like, oh shit, I thought I was tripping. Um, so it's just so for those, she is the wife of the Hawks owner, which is that I did not know. He's of the owner, Tony Wrestler, so she got some money in her bank account. I did not know. Also, I did not know that Michael Finley is the vice president of operations for the Mavericks. That I had no idea. None. I didn't think he was even around the NBA anymore. But and nice to see Mr. Cupchick have his job now because they got him out of LA really fast. But we're gonna keep moving along. We still got some stuff to talk about. The Giants. They got Saquon Barkley with the number two pick, and off the rip, was that the right pick for the Giants?
Yeah, I really do think it was the right pick for the Giants because The from what I've hear, and I'm on Twitter, so I follow all the Giant beats writer, and I follow Big Blue United and stuff, and I follow these guys, and a lot of them are saying that all the guys on the in the locker room now are impressed with Davis Webb. Now, I wasn't a fan of the Davis Webb pick a year ago, but if the guys in the locker room are saying they're impressed with Davis Webb and they can get behind him, then by all means, I hope he's successful and the heir apparent to Eli Manning. But I think Saquon Barkley was a great pick for the Giants because it sets us up for a future. We have a young star in Odell Beckham Jr. He's a wide receiver. He's gonna be wanting getting big money soon, and we have Saquon Barkley. Well, those are two. Those could be potentially the next Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell duo. To the one of the best running backs and one of the best wide receivers. And that gives Eli time. Because I think he has at least 1 or 2 seasons left in him. That gives Eli a target and time to potentially win another Super Bowl over Tom Brady. Because he's Tom Brady's daddy. But but that gives him
Wait a
time
minute.
to potentially win another Super Bowl because he has that weapon in Saquon Barkley because Saquon Barkley can catch out of the backfield. He can run the ball. He can pass block a little bit. So he has that option now. When historically in Eli's career, since we have lost Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs, he hasn't really had that stud running back he could dump it off to or he can give it off to. All of our running backs have been, mediocre guys who just haven't fit the bill that we need. I think Saquon Barkley is that answer. So yes, I love the pick, and I think it's a great pick, especially for our future. If we do look and say, okay, well, Davis Webb is a part of our future, but we also got a quarterback, Kyle. I don't know how to say his last name, but we also got him. So there's a potential he could be our future. But I think that Saquon Barkley was the great, and he was the right move because he gives Eli another weapon, right? You know, extend his career at least another season or two, and now we have a running back. Thank God. We haven't had that. We haven't had that since like what 2011.
Yeah, it's funny because I keep on for at least for the last few years, I kept missing on running backs by either by a draft pick,
Yeah,
which is insane to even have. Yeah, so that's great. That's great. So obviously, I was going to ask you if you do you think Odell stay a Giant, but I think by your answer, you do believe that he will be a New York Giant next year, which is no way in hell they're going to trade him. Which I agree, there's no way in hell they're going to trade him for many reasons alone. But let me ask you this: so you are in the NFC East. Obviously, you have to live with the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles now have a Super Bowl championship in their trophy case. So I ask you this: do you think that the Giants could overtake the Eagles in the division and win the top spot?
that's going to be tough to say. I mean, the potential is there, but it's a very low potential to me. I don't think we can overtake the Eagles, but I do think we could play for second place. At best, I think the season we could have is a 10-6 or an 11-5 season because the Eagles they're going to be dominant. I mean, they signed the right acquisitions in the off season, and they got new guys that are going to come in and just be absolute studs on their defense. And I mean, they traded for what, Michael Bennett.
Hmm.
That's a top five defensive end in the NFL. Comparing that with Fletcher Cox, you know, and Derek Barnett, they have a great defense right now. So I don't think we can overtake them because I think that they're going to have a repeat of last year. They're going to do exceptionally well. But I do think the New York Giants can overtake the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins and take that second place in the NFC East and make the playoffs in a wild card.
And it is important to note that you guys will be playing AFC South, which means that my boys will be seeing your boys very early in the season. So we might have to have a conversation right before that game to see to kind of break down the game beforehand. So I'll be looking forward to that. I'll be looking forward to it. So we got a few months. We got a few months about that. So
I'm hoping to make that game.
right. Oh man, that'd be nice if I can even. I know that'd be a great situation to even go to a game. But since I mentioned the AFC South, so you had an interesting Facebook post the other day, and I wasn't interesting, but you had a post that actually, no, I'm gonna give it to you like this. So, who you had a post saying that Deshaun Watson is the best quarterback right now in the AFC South. Now, I guess to give a little bit of context to what's going on, we have of the AFC South quarterbacks, of course, Deshaun Watson, who unfortunately had dealt with an ACL injury after 6 starts. We have Marcus Mariota, who let's say that he was not had didn't have the best year, but somehow he did manage to get in the playoffs and actually won against the Chiefs, which was impressive in itself. Of course, we have Blake Bortles, who recently got a 3-year extension worth $54 million with $26.5 million in guarantees, and whatever is left of Andrew Luck, who is still going through his 5-year, $122 million contract and who did not even play a game last season. So, I believe you said Deshaun Watson is the top quarterback in the AFC South. Go ahead and defend your statement.
Alrighty, so this is why I say Deshaun Watson is the top quarterback in the AFC South. Honestly, to me, Marcus Mariota has not looked anything close to where he looked like at Oregon, and that's disappointing to me because I thought Marcus Mariota would have been a great quarterback in the NFL. And I hope he continues to get better. I hope he, improves his game, and everything. And I hope he improves so we can see the remnants of old Marcus Mariota at Oregon when he was successful. Now, Blake Bortles, there's not much I need to get into because Blake Bortles is Blake Bortles, and I don't think he's that great. But now we get down to the beef of the situation. Deshaun Watson versus Andrew Luck. And let me explain. I think Andrew Luck had the potential to be an all-time great. And I have always thought that since he was drafted. But the problem I have with him right now, and the reason why I'm not willing to put my name on the, oh, he's an all-time great discussion, is because of his injury history. I Unless I see a fully healthy season from him, and then I see the coach management doing what they need to do to extend his career, keep him healthy, I just can't put him at the best. If you were to say healthy to healthy, honestly, I'm still taking Watson because I love the ability that he can run and he can also pass. But I just I'm just not all the way bought in. I'm 50% bought in because I know what he can do, but until he improves that injury history and is healthy for more than one season, and the coach management shows, hey, we can protect Andrew Luck. We're gonna get him an offensive line, get him some weapons. Then yeah, I would be like, okay, well he's gonna be an all-time great. But the reason why I say Deshaun Watson is the best quarterback in the AFC South right now is because in the AFC South, Deshaun Watson, he has had an ACL injury, I believe, at Clemson,
Right.
and we've seen what he did when he came back. He came back and was still the elite Deshaun Watson we all know today. So Deshaun Watson has injury history, but he also has history of coming back and being a just as good a player as he was before. And I think personally, Watson has a better team around him than Andrew Luck. So I think Watson is automatically going to come out and be really good. And that's why whenever he was a rookie, I didn't understand why Bill O'Brien wasn't starting him from the get-go. Because Watson is the best quarterback in Houston, and he can remain the best quarterback in the AFC South, even if Andrew Luck was fully healthy, because Deshaun Watson brings a factor into his game that Andrew Luck doesn't. Andrew Luck can move around with the ball. Deshaun Watson can take off with the ball and get you a first down if he needs to. If the pocket's collapsing and he sees an open lane, he can take off and get a first down. And he's athletically better than Andrew Luck. Now, passing wise, I think Andrew Luck is going to have him beat when fully healthy. But, to me, Deshaun Watson, and I don't say this lightly of everybody, Deshaun Watson to me is what Vince Young wishes he could have been in his NFL career. I think Deshaun
Hmm.
Watson is going to be that guy. He's going to be the guy that can run the ball, but he can also pass really well as well. And that's the comparison I always look at is Deshaun Watson and Vince Young. But the thing with Vince Young is VY, he couldn't pass very well. He was very great at running the ball.
Right.
Watson has the passing ability that Vince Young wishes he had. So that's the comparison I see. And I think that if Watson just comes back healthy, puts his stamp on the NFL, he really could end up being an all-time great as well because he has that ability of a Vince Young with a better passing arm than Vince Young, obviously. So I still until I see more from Andrew Luck, to me, I'm rolling with Watson. I'm all with Watson, and I think going forward he will be the best until I see proven otherwise.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? I do want to say one thing. The whole. I think now that we see that Watson has been clearly amazing, right? And especially in the 6 stars. And of course, you would ask, why didn't Bill O'Brien start him? But I mean, I do. I get the argument, right? I do get the argument of not starting the rookie because we don't want another David Carr situation. And we had, obviously we had that David Carr situation happen in Houston where the O line wasn't as good, especially when we had Dwayne Brown hold out. And granted, Deshaun Watson is a mobile quarterback. He is a mobile quarterback with an ACL injury history. So I think that was the more so the argument was that okay, let Tom Savage take the beatings of a horrible offensive line, but again, after one half of the NFL season, it was like what, screw it, put the rookie in. We got to go for broke at this point, anyways. So I do definitely get that point. Trust me, I do get that point. We gonna so you know what? Hey man, I love it. You did anything about Texans that's pretty damn positive. I love it. So I'm not even gonna say you're wrong or right on that one. So we're gonna shift gears. We're gonna pretty much gonna be the last thing we talk about. So everyone's favorite dad, LeVar Ball. We haven't heard much of him in the news. As a recent. But I ask you this, man. And of course, we know about the I think it was the Ball in the Family, All in the Family, something like that on Facebook. I still have to catch up on that personally, but I want to know: do you feel like LeVar Ball was viewed unfairly? And because because yeah, actually, I'm gonna give you the context later on. But do you think he's been viewed unfairly at this moment?
At this moment, I do think he's viewed unfairly, and I think it's because of his brash, loud nature. And I think that that's his best part. Take it from somebody like me. I didn't grow up with a father figure in my life, and I would have loved to have somebody like LeVar Ball who could have guided me in the path he's guiding his sons now. And I think the problem that everybody has is that LeVar Ball's undying belief in his sons that they can be successful no matter what they want to do. You know, and I watch the Ball in the Family series almost every week. I'm catching every episode every Sunday. But I just think he's viewed unfairly because he believes in the best of his sons. He believes in the best in Lonzo, which is the son who's in the NBA now, and He believes in LiAngelo. And see, the thing is, no, LiAngelo has no believers behind him. Nobody thinks that LiAngelo is going to be able to make it at the next level. But you know who has constantly been a rock and supported LiAngelo Ball the entire time people have been saying that? His dad. And he's telling him, hey, look, don't count out my son. He can go out there and he can ball. And then he has a interesting situation with LaMelo because LaMelo is like a regular teenage boy. He doesn't care about anything. He wants to play video games. He wants to sleep all day and all that. But he's still out there. He's guiding LaMelo in what he believes the best way he should. And in the Ball in the Family episodes, you can really see the effects of their dad being their biggest supporter and how that affects them. And I know we all talk about how he's ruining his sons by taking them out of school or and then taking them out of Lithuania. You have to understand when it comes to LeVar Ball, he thinks that his sons are going to be the best option for a team. Are they usually? Maybe not if we're on talking on an NBA level. But if we're talking on a Lithuanian pro level, absolutely. You can't tell me that any of the Lithuanian players are better than LiAngelo and LaMelo Ball. Well, LiAngelo and LaMelo were off on the bench, coming off the bench. And, then LeVar Ball started the whole ball league or whatever. And LiAngelo
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Yeah, we definitely gonna talk about that. Go ahead.
and LiAngelo and LaMelo dominated in that over in Lithuania. So the evidence was there, but the coach did not want to you know accept the fact. So he took his sons out because he didn't think that that was the best path for them going forward. And that's the thing. He's always looking at these opportunities and saying, okay, what are the best paths for my sons to have success and be able to reach that next level?
And I'm glad you mentioned it because that's like the one thing I'll say too. Because everybody is, again, like you say, everybody gave him the whole he's running his own narrative. They're trying to act as if everybody has the perfect blueprint of how his son is going to succeed. But as many successful people will tell you, there is no perfect way. There is no manual to it, right? It's like you do what you think is best. So, of course, we had the situation with the LiAngelo and shoplifting, and of course, at that time, of course, when he got back, they said he's going to spend indefinitely, whether it be 2 games or the whole season. Really, just measure LeVar Ball because all LeVar Ball was saying in his eyes was like, okay, since my son not playing, he cannot get better. If he cannot get better, he cannot make to the NBA, and the NBA is the top goal. You know, it's already bad enough. You got to pull this facade as if LiAngelo actually wants to be in school, and waste his time because again, the goal is the NBA. All that school stuff is secondary. Now, again, it sounds crazy to the average Joe who don't have the basketball talent, to even try to compete for an NBA job. But at the same time, you understand it is it is at that moment LeVar's ball got playing. Now, will it work out ultimately? I don't know. That is remains to be seen. LiAngelo did declare for the NBA draft last time I checked. So we're going to see. We're going to see if he even gets to the G League. But I cannot fault the man for trying because that's the biggest thing, right? Like you said, as you alluded to, you did not grow up with a father figure, like and you would have took anybody, even if people hate the dude, like people hate LeVar Ball. And so, honestly, I'm not trying to say that LeVar Ball should be excused for everything that he say or do because there are some moments that are not his best, and I'm not going to just use the fact that there are single boys growing up without their own fathers as a excuse as to why LeVar Ball should act the way he acts. But at the same time, it's like as you mentioned, it's here's how I see it. I say that he had executed the Donald Trump playbook very well, and that to me, at the very least, he's nothing more than entertainment, which is why I personally don't take him as serious as other people take him as far as hate him and shit. Because I mean, again, this is LeVar. He is no different than any parent that goes to a high school football game. There's a show full of people that are worse than LeVar Ball on Netflix called Friday Night Tykes. They're hell. David Carr when he was in Houston, his dad is LeVar Ball before LeVar Ball became a thing. So David and Derek Carr. So it's like I think like I said, it's this weird thing when people hate people that go against the status quo in the situation as such. So I was like, I don't like the LeVar Ball. I'm not waking up. I didn't wake up every day looking to be offended by something LeVar Ball said or does because okay, Lonzo Ball being better than Steph Curry. Okay, I don't believe it, but I'm not gonna tell him that. Hell, my own dad is a version of LeVar Ball. If you're gonna be honest about it, right? He's his own version of LeVar Ball. He look at me every day like, yo, man, I could have been number one pick, but politics. He says some shit like that every day to me. Even now that I moved on, he said the same shit to me every day. So it's not it's I don't like I said, I don't take the man seriously because especially you ask black people, we have a LeVar Ball in our family. Would it be our dad? Would it be our uncle? Would it be a grandpa? Hey, it could be a cousin that's a LeVar Ball in the family. But we have one. So yeah, but at the end of the day, man, LeVar Ball is doing what he think that is best for his sons, and of course, even like I read when he was on the Breakfast Club, he was like, "Hey, man, if it doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out. But I'm not finna not try because of what other people think I should be doing." So I can't fault the man for that. I applaud the man. He is going at it. He's doing his own thing because a lot of people be scared shitless to try. Because of expert opinions. I mean, a lot of people say a lot of things about athletes and how good they should be, and they don't end up being good, or how bad they're gonna be, and they end up being good. So I guess I ask you this: should people really be this invested into what LeVar Ball does, as far as really anything?
Absolutely not. I don't think that they should. I would say if you want to take LeVar Ball's words and put a little bit of grain of salt behind them, you can, and that's great. Because you have to.
You should, personally.
Yeah, you should definitely go at it with a grain of salt and be like, okay, well, this is going to be a guy who is going to be a little bit biased towards his sons. He's going to believe in the best ability of his sons, but it's like this. He said Lonzo Ball was better than Steph Curry. Yeah, he's a father. He's supposed to believe in his son like that. But it doesn't mean you have to believe him that his son's going to be better than Steph Curry.
Right.
You can make a judgment from your own two eyes. And that's why I think the problem is nowadays. You know, the thing is, with the difference between LeVar Ball and all these other parents that you were just mentioning, LeVar Ball has a public platform, so he's able to say these type of things, and it
That we gave him.
yeah, and it generates media clicks, and it generates, that's why the media is so interested in LeVar Ball because anything he says,
Because of our ball gives them money. You know what though too, and I say this too, man. A lot of time when people get pissed up at the media, posing stuff when it comes to what Donald Trump said or Colin Kaepernick and the national anthem in the NFL or even LeVar Ball, it's like, well, if you stop reading the stories and stop being interested in LeVar Ball, then maybe the journalists would get an idea that okay, LeVar Ball is not hot right now because that's the media. The media is what's hot. Just like how we spoke about the sports betting at the top of the show, that wasn't even a topic yesterday that we talked about, right?
yeah,
To the morning. That wasn't even a topic. So that's just how media works. It just shit happens to put things at top of other things. So, you know, again, I don't like to. That's my whole thing. Really, that's the whole thing when it comes to any kind of celebrity. It's like even with the whole Kanye West thing. It's like I have too much going on to be so invested into what somebody else think.
yeah,
You know, I have too much into going on right now. I am more focused on my personal life when it comes to my marriage, my job, my relationship with them, my siblings, my parents. Like I'm more focused on those kind of things. Hell, I'm more focused on personal growth versus, oh my God, LeVar Ball said he can beat Michael Jordan with one hand tied behind his back. Hell, I think I can beat LeBron James if we play 1-on-1. That don't make me right,
yeah,
but
exactly.
you're not gonna tell me otherwise. So it is wildly insane how people really get upset about shit that, especially when it comes to LeVar Ball and what he does. And I also always say this too, man. My favorite LeVar Ball moment, and it may sound like a sexist or misogynist kind of situation, was the whole thing with Christy Leahy. Yes, it was unprofessional about for from LeVar's ball point. But for in context, Christine Leahy did spend the day before, I believe, talking about whether or not LeVar Ball abuses his own sons. Now, again, you have me come on your show, but you said that I abuse my own kids. How do you think I'm gonna react?
You're gonna react in a negative way to that person.
Like, how you think I'm gonna? Yeah, how you think I'm going to talk to you as a person when you're talking about? Well, he abuses his kids, regardless of if it's true or not. I do not get into what parents do unless the parents themselves ask me my opinion. Outside of that, I don't give two shits what people do with their kids. I see people do stuff with the kids I don't agree with all the damn time, but guess what? They know their kid more than me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know what the hell what do you want me to say at this moment, right? But we're gonna keep moving on forward. Now again, we had spoke about the you mentioned earlier the JBA league that's starting this summer actually. Now to kind of give the backstory, after the shoplifting incident with LeAngelo Ball, LeVar Ball and LeAngelo Ball took themselves out of UCLA, and that's when Mark Emmert, the NCAA president, had this quote of, "Is this part of someone being part of your university as a student athlete, or is it about using college athletics to prepare yourself to be a pro? If it's the latter, you shouldn't be there in the first place," which is the most asinine quote ever because you are in college to pretty much prepare yourself for a professional life outside of college. But what do I know? I am just a MIS graduate with two classes away from my MBA. So what do I know, right? But anyways, after those comments, that kicked off the JBA League initiative. So just to kind of give you a little background of what the JBA League is going to entail, it is a alternative route for top amateur players to play pro without having to go through the college ranks. The salaries for the players are 3,000 to 10,000 a month for the season. Age requirements are 17 to 19, graduating seniors or students that are working on a GED. And because of the recent NCAA scandals, players they're not taking national ranked players for the league because of course they're not trying to get caught up in it either, which is why they started JBA League. So the season starts, the inaugural season starts June 21st, which is the same date of the 2018 NBA draft, coincidentally. And LaMelo Ball and the Los Angeles Ballers will be taking on the Houston Ballers. So, of course, champions, and of course, one more note to add to that, it will be the All Star Game playoff and the finals. Championship will be giving exotic cars such as BMWs and Mercedes. And the top players in the league will go on a winter and a fall and winter tour where they play against pro teams from around the world. So let me ask you this: how pumped are you for this JBA league, and do you think that it can be successful long term?
I got to be honest. I'm real pumped. I honestly, outside of college football, I mean, the NCAA is just they're so strict about everything. Like you have the whole one and done rule, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, this needs to get rid of. You need to get rid of this. You need to get rid of that." And then you're asking these guys to sacrifice their lives, sacrifice their time to play basketball for your school, not give them any money, supposedly, from what we know, um, and be like, "Okay, well, you're going to go to the pros, so wait on it. Do good, you go to the pros." Some of these kids are out here. They're only getting a couple meals a day. I mean, yeah, they're athletes, but they miss a meal. Oh, well, they can't eat until the next morning, or unless they have some money, and that's the kids that are coming from not so good upbringings. And I'm like, this is an opportunity for high school kids to say, okay, you know, this is the best opportunity for me. I can do what I love. I can get paid for it. Because what'd you say, three to $10,000 a month?
Yeah,
That's and the thing I hope Lavar does with this JBA league, I hope he makes it mandatory for them to have classes to help them with financial literacy. you know, to help them be like, okay, well, if you want to participate in this JBA league, I need you to take this class, and it helps them teach them finances because that's the type of thing that they would like learn in college, especially if they're handed $3,000 to $10,000 a month. Because I'm gonna be honest, me at 18 or 19, if I was handed $3,000 to $10,000 a month, you know what I wanted to spend it on? A
Man,
nice fast car,
man.
and all that.
All the games in the world, all the
Yeah,
laptops in the world. Oh man, it was stupid.
yeah, but see, and
Man.
that's why I'm like, if you teach them financial literacy, you help them be like, okay, well, you're an adult, get your own apartment, get your own stuff, set you up for the future, and then and while you're in this JBA league, you're getting paid for it, so you don't have to worry about missing a meal. So you can be like, okay, well, I'm in this JBA league, and then when the NBA starts come calling, guess what? You're already experienced in playing in a basketball association. You're already experienced in, okay, I'm about to get all this money. Let me go ahead and put it to good use. Not go get this fast car, go get these laptops, go get these skins on Fortnite, go get this all these
Right.
PS4s and stuff. They have that option because that's what they were taught in the JBA. If the JBA does that, and then they help the players through their process, I think it's going to be great because it gives the players an opportunity and a platform to say, I don't want to do college anymore, and I'm going to go ahead and do this basketball association, which is for kids my age. And then when the NBA scouts come a calling, because I guarantee you, the NBA is looking at this and they're like, okay, this is good. Now we can start taking kids out of high school. We don't have to wait for the whole one and done because they have this JBA league, so they're going to be already experienced in the basketball association, and they can go on forward into the NBA. So
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry to cut you off. I was gonna say the main thing too. Like you said, man, it is an opportunity. It is, but I think the most important thing is the option, right? Because, and I say this too, kids that wants to go to college and get an education and want to stay all 4 years, you know what? They're going to do that, right? Like you're still going to have those that want to go to the Dukes and the U of H, University of Houston's and the University of Tennessee and all these schools. There are going to be kids that wants to do that. To get just for the sole purpose of not only getting education but also a chance to play in the league. But at the same, as but at the same time, like you mentioned, you have kids with an opportunity to get money right now because let's be honest, most of the kids that are most likely going to be in the JBA league, and it's not even like an excursion of them or indictment of them, it's just the reality of the situation. They're not in the best situation financially. When it comes to their parent. In fact, a lot of NBA players now, even LeBron James himself, who came out of high school straight to the NBA league, wasn't in a situation where growing up where his mom could just pay the bills every week. There were some hardships. So so it definitely helps. And it's important as you mentioned the financial literacy class because if I could have benefited from that, growing up personally. Like I really could have benefited from that. So although I did take accounting in high school, but that's neither here nor there. But you get my point.
yeah,
So it's definitely a great thing. I do think that it's going to be a slow start personally because it's hard to really get stuff out there, especially when you have the actual G League that kind of runs the same kind of system, I guess, in a way that LeVar Ball's trying to do. So it can work out. I'm not gonna say that it won't work out because I don't know. LeVar Ball knows like that, and I'll say this too. LeVar Ball, LeVar Ball says some crazy shit, but he is far from stupid. Like he'll
yes,
say the most idiotic things, but he's not an idiot. He knows, which is part of why he even started JBA League because he knew that something was up with the NCAA violation. And then when it comes to the situation with Leangelo, he knew that shit that when CNN tried to get him to thank Donald Trump on live television, he like fuck that because he knew that his son was already on the plane home before Trump even found out about it. Like that is how much LeVar Ball knows and how much he made shit move. when it came to that situation alone. So yeah, man, I think it's gonna work out because I do trust that LeVar Ball knows something, or else he wouldn't have tried this. We can talk about his shoe sales and how people ain't getting them on time and all that good stuff. Like granted, I get it. At the same time, did I expect him to be this balling starting off? Nah, man, it's a process. Shit gotta take time to work. So
You can't become a business mogul overnight. You have to start off slow to get
right,
get there.
right, you have to build. You have to build. Like you have to build something. Anything that is with work stuff is going to take some building to do. So yeah, man. I like I said, I am rooting for LeVar Ball. I'm rooting for the JBA League. I'm rooting for his sons to make the NBA, and I don't know if Lee Angelo is going to make it, but I'm going to root for him too. I personally think that Lamelo was the better of all the three ball boys, but it doesn't really matter who's better or not. It's just better if they're going to make the NBA. So like I said, I'm hoping that I think, and I'm hoping that if it works out, I do think it's going to expand out more. Because you have enough people interested in watching the league and paying for the tickets and all that good stuff. Granted, I get that, but I do think that I think that he is at a good time of starting because of the NCAA and of course of the NBA is considering doing away with the one and done rule that they themselves implemented. So it's gonna be situations. But before we get out of here, man, there is something that you want to kind of promote to the people or get people aware, something to be aware of. So I'm gonna give you the floor on that situation. So what you got for me, man? What you got on the promotion side of it?
All right, so I'm a part of this Facebook group on Facebook, and it's called All Sports 247. You can look us up. We have over 60,000 members, and I believe Gregory, aren't you a part of us?
That's how we met. I am a part of it. I'm definitely a part. I'm part of many groups, but I'm definitely part of that as well.
Yeah, and I just wanted to, shout it out because any of the folks that are listening, and any, want to participate in sports talk, you know, we have that, and we also have, some non-sports related topics. We talk about movies, video games, music, and we have those topics. But most of the stuff we want to talk about is sports. So if you want to come along, join us. Be happy to have you there, and talk some sports. Tell us about your opinion on LeBron versus MJ, or tell us how you think your NFL team's going to do this season, or what do you think going to happen with Paul George? Will he stay in Oklahoma City? Will he go to the Lakers? Will he go to Philly? Or will he team up at the Cavs with LeBron? Just tell us what you want to do. But just go to All Sports 247 on Facebook with over 60,000 members. Join us and be a part of the discussion and be a part of the activity that goes on day to day.
Speaking of movies, man, it is my understanding that you have just seen the Avengers Infinity Wars, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'm glad somebody else seen this as well. So, I don't want to get into the details of it 'cause I do know that there are people who still have not seen the movie yet. I don't know why at this point, but it happens. It does happen because you
Yeah.
just need to tell yourself. It does happen. I get that. So, I just want to ask you more so of where do you rank the movies? And also within the Marvel aspect of it, where is your like top five that you have, or at least they don't have to be in order, but who's in your top five at this moment?
Top five at this moment, I would have to say, even though they're kind of recent, but that's because Marvel has outdone themselves real well. I would say number one right now is obviously Infinity War. That movie was a cinematic masterpiece. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It was amazing. It's also extremely confusing, but you'll find out why. Go watch it. I would have to say number two. I would say Black Panther. I loved the movie of Black Panther. I was all for it. I loved the culture aspect of it. It was an amazing movie, and it's a movie I would love to watch over and over and over again. And number three, I would have to say Thor Ragnarok. And like I said, these are all recent movies because Marvel is so good at what they do, and the production companies they team up with are so good at what they do. All the other movies that they made, these newer movies are better than those because they have improved and outdone themselves. If you were to go back and look at the first Iron Man movie, whenever it first came out, and look at the Black Panther or Thor Ragnarok or Infinity War, even, you could see the total. It's like night and day with how much they've improved. But then I would have to say my fourth and fifth are going to be the first Avengers. I love that movie. I thought it was great for a first movie of a series. And then I would have to say fifth was Captain America, the first Avenger. I've always loved the character of Captain America. He's one of my top five favorite Marvel superheroes. And then equal to Captain America, the first Avenger, is Civil War. I think that that was a great movie. See, honestly, you can't even really give me a, you can't even limit me to a top five list. I gotta have like a top 10, man. They're all so good, but you know, all the Marvel movies are great except for the Incredible Hulk because that was trash.
Right,
But
right.
all of them were good. But if you haven't seen Infinity War, go see it. Money well spent.
Oh yeah, cause like it is definitely. I would say this real quick. Like I'll be honest, like I know I've been having, and there's a show where I was at in the comic books. Like I didn't ever put two and two together. We came to Tony Stark and Captain America. Cause I remember it's like Stark Industries was like, oh shit, wait a minute, that's Tony Stark. That's his people. It's like, oh damn.
Yeah,
Okay, it makes and it kind of it makes sense in that situation. Like I kind of had to have like a light bulb moment there, but no, man. As far as movie goes, yeah, Infinity Wars it was wonderful based on the pace of it. It's like okay, it went too fast. This went too slow. It took its time. You know, it was like damn near 3 hours. It took its time to explain what's really going on here, especially for those who haven't seen read the comic books. So
and
that's one thing.
it set up Thanos very well. The villain,
Very, very well. It may have seemed like a sympathetic figure. Like I damn near almost sided with him for a second. Like, wait a minute, that's a jackass. Never mind.
yeah,
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. But no, but Black Panther obviously because of like I say, the culture is peak blackness. Like it's like damn, damn near everybody's movie is black. Perfect. I love this shit. Especially Marvel universe in a on a platform like that. Perfect. Give
yes,
me that each day, every day. So there's that. Civil War was wonderful because of the message behind Civil War. It was the one quote was like, "Empires do not get destroyed from outside, but from within." That was beautiful. And again, when he said, the when it came to the most underrated scene was with T'Challa and Homo. I forgot what Homo name was, but Homo was explaining why he went on this rampage as far as you
you talking
know
about Bucky?
well not necessarily not Bucky himself, but the guy who fucked up Bucky. I guess you say that the other guy,
Okay, okay,
the one with
the Russian guy.
the Russian guy, yeah. So you kind of explain why you kind of explain why he did what he did, due to the Avengers and what was it, the Age of Ultron.
Yeah, the Sokovia.
Yeah, the Savonian, yeah, that situation there. So and then it's just like it's so underrated because like it's great storytelling, great situation with the child. The child was like, "Dog, I just want to kill your ass. You know what? I ain't gonna do this because that's not what a king does. I'm gonna, get away from that." That was perfect there. As far as the other movies that makes my list personally, I mean, the original Avengers was great in its own right because this is the forming of everything. You know, I guess I can throw it in my top five right now too. Otherwise, I got to rewatch all the movies again. And I would say Ant Man
Ant Man.
because I would say Ant Man because it seemed like he just came out of left field. It's like he just came out of left field. Now he's a part of this, situation. So that is, I throw Ant Man in there because I just personally enjoyed it. Personally, me, because it's just a different character in itself. But now, man, like I'm looking forward to the movie that's coming out. I know that the movies after Infinity Wars is the Ant-Man 2 and the Wasp, which is why you never see Ant-Man at all in Infinity Wars. And you have Captain Marvel, which if you watch the end scene, spoiler alert, you know that she's coming. So
Yes.
It's especially with the Avengers Infinity Wars Part 2 coming out in May of next year. So great movie. Great. Marvel is outdoing themselves. Stan Lee is like, man, great. I don't even wonderful. So, but man, this has been fun, though. I really appreciate you, man. Damn near 2 hours, but hey, you know what? I'm good with it. This has been the first time it's since I took a break anyway, so I'm good with it. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you letting me come on, man.
No problem. And as Zach mentioned, All Sports 247. You find them on Facebook. Great people, great insight. A few idiots here and there, but that's everywhere. It doesn't matter. Discussing sports, movies, whatever. Hey, man, you get your works, man. You get your works because guess what? Sports is a microcosm of society. So, I mean, it makes kind of sense, right? Right. But again, I appreciate you again, and everybody that stuck through this. I do appreciate you guys, and subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, and as always, I'll check you guys out a little bit later, man. Thank you guys for listening. Zach, thank you again. And hey, man, y'all have a good one. Peace out.